Okay, let's then turn on this big B day or the big budget day to someone who knows a thing or two about budgets, delivered 10 budgets. Joining me now, former Finance Minister P Chidambaram joins me. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Chidambaram. Your big takeaway from budget 2025, the government is saying this is the ultimate middle class budget with the big tax relief given to the middle class taxpayers. Your response?
As far as the government is concerned, the only audience that matters to it is the 3.2 crore tax-paying filers of income tax and the 7.65 voters of Bihar. Beyond this 10.5 crore people, the government does not think that the people matter. This budget has benefits for 3.2 crore tax-paying income tax filers and the voters of Bihar. But beyond that, what does the budget do?
No, but are you being,
in fact,
if I may stop you, are you being
people
excessively cynical there, Mr. Chidambaram? The government says, look at what we are doing in terms of specific areas, whether it's new technologies, whether it's medical colleges to be set up, whether it is more students for IITs. You're not looking at the larger picture at all. The headline is the income tax, but the government says we are providing a basket of initiatives which will trigger off the animal spirits of the economy.
I hope you have looked at the numbers yourself and not merely reading from a government release. On health, education, social welfare, agriculture, rural development, urban development, and development of the Northeast, the government did not spend the money it allocated for the current year, 24-25. On each of these areas, which would have benefited the masses of the people, the government fell short of the expenditure. What does that mean? It means it did not fulfill its targets, or it means that it did not know how to spend. Take, for example, rural development alone. Against the budget allocation, they fell short by 75,133 crore rupees. On education, they fell short by 11,584 crore rupees. On social welfare, 10,019 crore rupees. On agriculture, 10,992 crore rupees. How does the government claim that it has fulfilled all its promises made last year? And why should I believe that the government will fulfill its promises this year? They will allocate money, they don't have the capacity to spend it, or they don't have the desire to spend it. And at the end of the year, the same story may be repeated.
Mr. Chidambaram, let me stop you for a moment. Last year, of course, was a year which had a number of elections. That has been used as one of the reasons why certain targets could not be met. But the question is, I want to come back to the tax cuts, which is the headlineable news at the moment. Your dream budget in 1997 was also seen to have completely rationalized tax systems, lowered taxes. The government says, look, we are now kicking off a virtual cycle of demand, of consumption and growth. These tax breaks will get a number of middle class people to go out there and buy and consume. And that's exactly what you want to trigger off growth.
At the end of the exercise, the Honorable Finance Minister confessed that the growth will be only 6.4%. Look at the Chief Economic Advisor's economic survey and the preface. He said clearly that unless we achieve 8% growth and sustain it over a period of 15 to 20 years, we will not become a developed country by the target date of 2047. Now, either one of them is right, both can't be right. Either the Chief Economic Advisor is right, or the finance minister is right. Now you tell me who is right. Arithmetic shows that at 6 to 6.5% growth, we will not become a developed country by 2047. In fact, we will be caught in the middle income trap.
But Mr. Chidambaram, the government seems to feel that given global headwinds, given the uncertainties across the world, what they are trying to do at the moment is hope that money in the pockets of many more people, as I said, will trigger a virtuous cycle of demand and consumption, and eventually will actually ensure that growth rate will also stimulate private investment and growth rate will cross 7%. That's what the government is hoping for. I know you're quoting what the chief economic advisor's economic survey said, but that's the hope the government has.
Yes. I've understood your question. Let me answer. Money is not in the hands of most people, the bulk of the people. Do you know that the household survey done in December, and the figures were released a day before yesterday, the monthly per capita expenditure in rural areas is 4,120 rupees a month, which is about 130 rupees a day. And in urban areas, it's 7,000 rupees a month, which is about 230 rupees a day. There's no money in their hands. There's no money in the jobless youth. There's no money in the hands of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and OBCs. Money they have put today in the hands of the tax-paying middle class. I don't grudge that. I welcome it. But what about money in the hands of the bulk of the people? The minimum wages should have been raised. Maganrega wages should have been raised, so that money is available in the hands of the crores of the people. Show me one line in the budget which translates into money in the hands of the bottom 50%, or in particular the bottom 20%. Show me one line in the budget speech which assures that.
The question is, Mr. Chidambaram, the government says they've kept the fiscal deficit under meeting broadly their fiscal deficit targets. They've ensured an element, therefore, of fiscal responsibility. And as I said, they are betting big on the middle class consumer, driving economic growth. What is the one thing you would have done that this government has not done, given the constraints that they have at the moment, the kind of global headwinds and the slowing down of the economy?
Global headwinds are not new. Please remember, in 97-98, we had the Asian financial crisis. In 2008, we had an international financial crisis. In 2012-13, we had the taper tantrum. There will always be global headwinds. Therefore, global headwind today is not something new. You will have to meet these headwinds and try to take the country forward. You asked me what I would have done. I would have done the following. One, increase the minimum wage across the board and ensured that every employer pays the minimum wage. Two, I would have increased the daily rate for Maganrega workers. Those things I would have done. On the tax side, I would have cut the GST so that more money is in the hands of the tax-paying class, which is practically everybody, because every service, every goods has a GST. I would have done that, cut the GST, cut the petrol and diesel prices. It would have benefited far more people. Instead of benefiting 3.2 crore, I have no complaint about that. You should have benefited at least 40, 50 crore of people, which is putting money in the hands of the vast majority of the people. They have not done that.
Let me leave it.
Four things I would have done.
Let me leave it at that, Mr. Chidambaram. Obviously, You seem to believe that this is a budget that has ignored a large section of the population that you believe deserved more income in their hands, more cash in their hands, and you therefore believe that it is another missed opportunity. You are, of course, an opposition leader, so we are going to keep that caveat in mind when we listen to you. But I appreciate you joining us and giving us your initial remarks.
But I'm certainly belong to the opposition. I certainly belong to the opposition, but the government spokesmen are not neutral. They are speaking for the government.
Okay, fair enough. But I wanted to hear your perspective. I appreciate you joining us, Mr. Chidambaram. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.